Good question. Well, my advice would be a couple things come to mind. One is I had a mentor of mine when I first started work, and he was much older, and I'd say very successful. And I was going on a ride in his car with him, and he had a really nice car, and I was admiring his car. And he said, Sean, he said, don't neglect your family. He said, I did for a while until it caught up to me. And I've now made adjustments. So I'm not doing it anymore. But he said, don't balance your family while you're trying to excel at work. Don't neglect your family. I said, yeah, I know. He goes, no, I mean it. I mean it. I don't think you know. It's so easy to get caught up into success and achievement at work. And I don't think you know. I'm just warning you. You cannot do that. It's not worth it. I paid the price for it. And really hit me. And I've tried, and I feel like I've done a good job at just always prioritizing my family. And, and you can be successful at both. You can have a good personal life, home life, and business life. You don't have to do one or the other. You see people make sacrifices all the time. And they say, well, I can't be successful with my family and still be successful at work, or the other way around. And sometimes you see people that neglect their families or their personal health, and it's just not worth it. So I think that's one part of success, is make sure you're balanced. And I saw my father do this. He always put family first, but he still did everything he wanted to professionally. You can do both. So that'd be one piece. The second one would be just the idea of hard work and being principle based, doing it the right way, just not compromising, cutting corners is so important. And as you get into business, into your career, every week there's something where you can cheat or lie or fudge or turn or twist or just do something a little off color. It's just so important to keep your integrity all the time. I think that's success as well, is that you can look back on your career and say, I've always been honest. When I've made mistakes, I've always apologized, right? And then I just say, finally, just go for it. Don't be afraid to pursue your dreams. Oftentimes, I loved how Clayton Christensen used to talk about it. He'd say, you have two kind of strategies, deliberate and emergent. A deliberate strategy is, this is my career, this is what I'm pursuing. He said, Clayton said, I wanted to be the editor of the Wall Street Journal. I had that in my head, and I was on track to do that. And then I got an offer to teach at Harvard Business School as a young professor, to be an assistant professor. And he says, this is called an emergent strategy. Sometimes a new idea you hadn't planned on comes your way. And he said, and so I did that. I became a professor, but I still wanted to be the Wall Street Journal editor. And so I was going to do Harvard just for a few years and then do that. And then when I was done being a professor, a guy came to me and said, I've got a startup. I want you to join. And it was a great idea. And so I joined that. And he said, and he passed away just last year. And he said, my whole life has been emergent strategies. He said, finally, a few years ago, I settled in and I said, no, all these emergent strategies have led me to do what I'm doing now. And this is now my deliberate strategy, to continue the work I'm in right now, which is teaching and consulting and teaching about disruption in the marketplace. But be open to emergent strategies is what I'm saying. Have a deliberate strategy. Go for it. I want to do this. I want to get this kind of degree, and I want to do this. I want to start a business. I want to be X. Keep your family balanced. Don't compromise, but be open to emergent strategies. So my daughter, your cousin, Rachel, passed away 8 years ago. And we didn't expect this. She was 21. It was a real tragedy for our family. But out of that came an emergent strategy, which was we started this nonprofit organization that helps girls that are struggling with different things, develop hope, confidence, and resilience. And now it's a big nonprofit organization. It was an emergent idea, right? So be open to things that come your way that might knock you off the course that you're on for something better, or something that's hot. It's a wave that you ride because suddenly there's a big wave and you're going to take advantage of it. So that's a long answer to your question, Stephen. Sorry. But that would be my advice to someone seeking success.
Well, it's interesting. Bob Buford, as a friend of mine, started a thing where he was teaching people the difference between success and significance. And success has all to do with results and all. And some people think that who they are is all their results and their titles and their accomplishments and all. And significance is really, what have you done to serve? What have you done to help other people win? And if you focus on significance, it's amazing how not only will you help other people win, but they'll help you win. And as I've said, it ends up to be a win-win. And so that my big advice to people who are just starting is to, as I said, just get out of your own way and just to realize that you're really there to serve your people, not for them to serve you. And when that happens, boy, you're gonna get it. It's Steve, the greatest organizations I've been involved in realize that their number one customer is their people. And if you take care of your people, empower your people, love on your people, involve your people, then they will go out of their way to take care of your number two most important customer, which is the people who buy your products and services. And then they'll become raving fans of your organization, become part of your sales force. And that takes care of the third part, which is the owners and the productivity and all that. A lot of people think that the reason to be in business is to make profit. No, profit is the applause you get for creating a motivating environment for your people so they'll take care of your customers.
2 questions. Question number 1, what does success mean to you? You would feel like you were successful is what was true. Get them to list that. I make this much money. I'm having this kind of influence. I'm blah, 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 blah. I'm at this level of performance in a corporation or whatever. I don't know. That's their choice. What would success look like for you? 5 years from now, if you were highly successful, what would you look like? What would you be doing? At what level of game? Right. And then question number 2, the most important question. What do you think that experience would give you? If you were there, how would that feel? What would be the experience you'd have internally if you had that experience? Because if you can't answer number 2, you'll never get to number 1. And by the way, if you can answer number 2, honestly, you can get there tomorrow. It's really true. It's like, wait a minute, we're after the red Porsche, we're after the big corporate thing, we're after being the CEO of a major, tech company that made a big gazillion dollars. Wait, what do you think that's going to give you? A sense of accomplishment, a sense of control, a sense of contribution, a sense of clarity, a sense of ease and peace. And if it is, great. But how could you get a sense of control and contribution and peace tomorrow? Because if you're going to keep chasing, you're going to keep chasing the rabbit if you don't get to those things. And that's fine to go after those things. Just make sure you don't lose sight of what you want out of them.
Right. So it's the idea of a lot of people have a vision that what they want is the title, the money, the accolades, and associated with that vision is what does that person feel inside of them? This is what I hear you saying. But that feeling, you can get much quicker without having to attain the, monetary titles, all that kind of stuff. What do you have to do to get that?
Indeed. And those things might give you that. So don't stop. Why not?
Right.
Go for it. So I'm not saying go to the rice bowl and cave in a Tibetan cave.
Right.
I'm saying, hey, go for it. But be aware is that people want the red Porsche. They think this could give them freedom, could give them cool, they're going to look great or whatever. They get the red Porsche they're afraid about is going to be dinged every night or stolen. And so they don't have a sense of freedom. So keep focused on what you want these experiences to bring you internally. And then have as many as you want. Just don't lose sight.
To me, the most important conviction is that there is an essential and unique mission in life that needs to be detected, not just designed, not just selected, and that the great work of life is to figure that out and then to do it, to explore what's essential and then to go after it and make trade-offs necessary. And I think that somebody starting off in their career should certainly have that idea in mind. I don't think they even have to wait till the beginning of their career. I think it's an idea that can be taught effectively to children. And I've in fact seen my own children, my eldest starting off at 10 years old, really genuinely asking those kinds of questions. What's my unique contribution? What's my mission in life? What's the career that I can really am built to do? Had insights about it. I remember she slipped a note under my door one night with all these brainstorms around 10 years old going, I can't believe it. I've really been thinking. I mean, one of the questions that we've been talking about was, what's your 100-year vision? What do you want your contribution to be 100 years from now? And she's this young child, I don't think older than 10, and certainly no older than 12, is really not just asking those questions, but getting insights. And it hasn't changed since. I mean, she wanted to be a director then. And so since, think of the advantage that here she is now just 17, but she's already at community college, graduated high school a couple of years early, now at community college, doing media arts, applying to university as basically as a transfer student in her chosen area of expertise. She can go and has done internships. I mean, I hadn't done any internships at that age. I wasn't anywhere like that level of clarity. So I think that there's never an age too young to think about that and to keep coming back to it. Now, that doesn't mean you can completely design the whole of your career around what you want it to be from age 18 going forward, but you can start guiding your career closer and closer to what you really feel that sense of mission to do, doing what you came here to do. And if you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to wake up at 30, 35, 40, or sometimes even later than that and just go, what am I doing? I have no idea. Why have I done this? And those are probably the saddest. I mean, they're meant as compliments, but I once had somebody write about essentialism. Oh, I feel quite emotional even saying this. And he said, I really loved essentialism. I just wish I'd read it 50 years ago. I mean, I just think that's an unbelievable statement. I mean, to say wish you read it a year ago, okay, well, right, you took on too many projects over the last year, fine. But 50 years ago that's like your life. And so I just think this is the idea to begin with. Start off this way and keep coming back to it so that you don't get to the end of your career and then the end of your life and find, my goodness, I wasn't even pointed in the right direction.
Here's what I would say. I would say, you want everything to be perfect and you think it's going to be a straight line if you get everything right and you do everything that you're supposed to do. But there are going to be, first of all, times where you're not sure that you're making any progress at all. There are going to be times where you feel like you're going in reverse. And there are times where you feel like you're at a dead end. So these setbacks are part of the journey. And the next time you hit one of those, you can say to yourself, you know what? Now I know I'm on a journey because I was sort of forewarned that it was not going to be a straight shot. And so when you have a bad day, you can say to yourself, yep, this is part of the journey. Now I know that, that I'm making progress in a way because I'm hitting bumps of the road. I'm hitting places where I have to turn hard, or that I make a mistake and I got to backtrack. So for me as a young woman, I thought that if I tried my very hardest, it would be linear. And now I know from interviewing so many people who have lived long lives and, achieved great things, that it is not a linear path for anyone. And if I had known that then, I think I would have been a little easier on myself, and appreciated that, the journey is much more interesting in the way that it eventually and actually plays out than the way it plays out in your head before you get started.